Blockhouse.
Sensei. Chikadichi.
Nisanamebo zanikalio endapo
Pabuino chile kuno niona po
Chalato zanikalio endapo
Kuweme monga kuno niona po
Before you put your far, muno mwini Kwikala best life but muno mwini Fikirisha front sefi noto kuno kwini Aikona kwana bene kuno kwini I'm proud in the Zambian Nolo ambience Yadi fala kofe fense fadi sangwa Kule bombe shatawe te zamba We stand out Te manga I'm proud in the Zambian
Proud to be Zambian. Yeah, I'm proud to be Zambian.
Proud in the Zambian
Proud to be Zambian. Yeah, I'm proud to be Zambian. Proud in the Zambian.
We'll try. Good evening to everyone, and it's lovely to see you all here, and thank you very much to the Zambian Network for having me as well. I will find my notes very quickly and then we can kick off. I'm not really going to give a whole speech. Helen has told you that I'm from FNB, and I think we've joked with a few people in the crowd that one of the things that we're good at is selling and trying to pitch for business. I'm not about to do that here. My CEO will not be very happy with that, but I'm not going to do that here. What I will speak to you about is just giving you a little bit of background on my journey, so my professional journey, a little bit of background on my personal journey, not too much because, you know, might end up crying or something, but a little bit of background on my professional journey and my personal journey that has seen me up to where I am. But in addition to that, and I'll close with it, is I will share a couple of insights in terms of what we, and I say we from the financial sector, but me as well as an individual, see when it comes to the market in terms of businesses and how they operate. Some of the, you know, the tips or some tips that I could share from the learnings and lessons that we've observed, and also, you know, some of the challenges that we've noted and perhaps how those can be overcome. So I think that's really what I want to tackle in the 10 minutes that I have. But before I get into that meat, I do want to share, as I get into my personal background, a quote that I really absolutely love. I'm not one for bumper stickers, but if I was, this would certainly be my bumper sticker. And it's a quote by Sir Winston Churchill. A lot of you would probably have heard it, but it says, "Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts." Okay? So this is one of my all-time favorite quotes. I want to spend probably about a minute or two just unpacking it in terms of what it symbolizes for me and obviously the relevance to the conversation that we'll be having. So for me, when I look at this, and I'll break it down. So success is not final. For me, it's not what it means and symbolizes, it's not a final destination. You don't start a project or embark on a mission, whether successfully or not, and then think, I've arrived, right? If you think about IBM or Nokia and what they might have been thinking to themselves in the late 90s or early 2000s, they probably thought, we've arrived. And then Apple happened, right? So they would have considered themselves as fairly successful back then. And then Apple happened. We probably have a couple of gym enthusiasts in the room. I do gym, I may not look like it, but I do. Again, if I take it to a personal level, you may be in your 20s gymming and think, I've finally managed to achieve my six-pack, I have arrived. Constant is change. And so we're living in a time and in a world where there's constant change and evolution. And so success is not final. Failure is not fatal. And it takes me back to, and I always will remember this, bright as day. The first time that I encountered failure in my adult life, I was at Zika's, and this was in probably 2003 when this happened. So about 20 years ago. But I still remember it bright as day, like I said. I had been quite a good academic through primary school, through secondary school, and I went into college to study accountancy, and I thought, this is going to be a breeze. So the first year I did my CAT, which was Certified Accounting Technician program. It ran for a year, probably had about 6 or 7 modules, and I aced them. Aced them, spending Wednesday nights and Friday nights at Zenon, and I was still able to ace them. So I thought, this college thing is a breeze. And then I went into my second year. And at the time in ACCA, we had 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. 2.3 was a taxation paper, which absolutely threw me to the wall. I cannot even repeat here what score I got because you might all look at me a little bit differently. But it was terrible. I failed absolutely terribly. And I remember that was my first time thinking, oh my gosh, I failed at something. At that point, even my relationships were all successful. But I remember that stood out for me, and I actually locked myself in my room for probably about 2 or 3 days, thinking, oh my God, I am a failure. And it took quite a bit of counseling, from my family and people around me to say, you know what, it happens and all of that. That was my first experience of failure in my adult life. Needless to say that over the 20 years, there have been several other moments where I have encountered failure. And for me, I think that's why that was so significant, because it always takes me back to that and says, you know what, I'm okay. I'm still alive, I'm fine. So failure is not fatal. For me, this is where the crux is. It is the courage to continue that counts. So for me, that's really where the crux of this quote is. It's not about what has happened. It's not about how successful you think you are on a particular project or how you failed at a particular task. But regardless of all of that, it is the courage to keep going that really, really counts and really matters. Very quickly, just tied to this quote, I think we all remember, I think it was back in May, Tina Turner had died, and I think it was all over our news and media coverage because she was such a sensational singer, such a sensational performer. But if you think about her story, and when I was looking at the news headlines around Tina Turner's death, for me that's what ran consistently in my mind, is, oh my gosh, her story. Because if you think about Tina Turner, yes, she died successful, and like I said, she was this renowned celebrity, but she didn't always have it easy. Tina Turner was someone who rose from a dysfunctional early life to international stardom, right? So at that point, she probably thought, I'm successful. But that success was not final. Back to the quote, right? Give, and like I said as well, it can apply both in your personal and professional lives. So hopefully this has been of some help to all of you here. Thank you very much.
A round of applause. I did hear that. Very, very encouraging. Okay, I'm getting tired of climbing on the stage, but I have to. I hope you really enjoyed that. I did, and like I said, the first thing I want to say is, in the opening I asked if you've spoken to somebody you didn't come with or somebody that you don't already know. How many have done that? How many more people have done that? Okay, so after our second speaker, we're going to play a game. So before we go to the game, I'll invite our second speaker, and then you can really network, because the purpose of this event, like Joseph mentioned, there's so many people from different sectors, from different fields. So you want to know, you want to network. You never know which key to your next door, who's holding the key to the next door that you are going to. Our next speaker is the proprietor for Espeka Zambia. Let's give a round of applause to Mr. Peter Kaunda.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, I would like to thank everyone that has come here this evening. We treasure your time and we don't take it for granted. Secondly, I would like to thank the organizers of this network for bringing together dynamic professionals from different walks of life. Let me introduce myself again. My name is Peter Kaunda. Most of the times when I introduce myself, I'm always attached to the first president, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. I wish I was a grandson, but I'm my own Kaunda. Having said that, the previous speaker has almost preempted most of my speech, but thanks, he's made my job very easier, so I'll just run through once more in certain things that he's mentioned. So standing here rejuvenates my memories 14 years ago when we had an initiative to set up a company called Speka Zambia. This is a company that was based in Matero, not Kablonga, but Matero. We started with 4 staff, office staff in my living room. Sorry about that. So this is a company that started in a living room with 4 staff, and we had 3 installers. So just to give you a brief about what Speka does. So Speka is a company that was created to fill up the gap that we had noticed on the market. 14 years ago, most of construction industry in Zambia was foreign dominated. There were retail North Zambian companies that were supplying different services to the construction industry. So when we noticed the need for a Zambian-owned company, that's how we created it. And over the years, Speka has grown with 4 extra companies within the group, and one of them is Creative Aluminium. Then we've also set up another business in South Africa. It's called Speka Engineering, offering various engineering services in South Africa. So if you notice, most of the buildings that are in Zambia, that are in Lusaka right now, there is literally every touch of a Speka on most of these modern buildings that you see. And I'm proud to stand in this building, and I know that most of the products that you see around here were actually installed and manufactured from our factory. From starting with almost about 8 employees, we're proud to say that our company has grown to a workforce of 200, that is excluding the entity in South Africa. We are also proud that an initiative that we didn't think, that we were just filling up the gap on the industry, on the Zambian market, to just fill up the construction industry. We didn't know that we would be supporting the government in social, adding to the social values, and also to the supporting government in employing most of the youths that are coming from our various universities and colleges. As you may be aware, to run a business or to be an entrepreneur comes with a lot of challenges and a lot of successes. We have enjoyed a lot of successes, as we are one of the biggest Zambian-owned companies that are fighting for market share with foreign-based companies. And we are happy that we are able to be on every construction and on every project that either government-owned or private-owned. So those are some of our successes. We are also happy that we've, as a business, we have a policy to give back to our community. We do a lot of charity work. We empower most of our students or college graduates that are coming to join us with extra skills that they are tailor-made to the products that we're giving to the Zambian market. We are where we are, like the earlier speaker mentioned, because we love what we do. You can't run a business without having passion in what you do. You must be part of it. So every day in the morning that we wake up, we feel and we're part of what we do, and that's what gives us the courage to continue to run our business and to be in it. So apart from a speaker, we're into farming. I love farming. I'm a pig farmer, and we don't take it as a hobby. Like I've heard a lot of people tell you, on the weekend I have a hobby and I go farming. For us, we take it very seriously. So when we came into farming, we're doing a lot of pig commercial farming, and we're supplying most of our meat to the major players like Zambia and Master Pork on the market. Within our journey, there's been a lot of failures, but those are some of those failures that we've had have actually built us to be where we are. I gave you a background of where we're coming from. To grow a business where you're starting with 8 employees in Matero, and to get to a level where you're now going into neighboring countries like South Africa. To manage a business in South Africa is something else that is at another level, but it gives us pride that we are a Zambian company that is growing and going and looking through opportunities in other countries. Soon we may be in Botswana. I just came from Uganda last month. We are looking at opportunities to grow our business there and introduce our products. We are on a journey to succeed, and failure is not in us. That's why we're where we are, and we take all opportunities seriously. And this has been done through teamwork. We've invested in our workers, and that's the reason where we are. We share our vision with our employees, and everyone that comes with us, they share and have a foresight of where we're going. As we move with our employees, we also recognize the journey that we come with. There are certain clients that we've had for the past 10 years because they understand what we believe in. Integrity is one of them. We are very good time managers. We ensure that as we deal with our different clients, we ensure time is very of great importance. We take communication very seriously. So it's communication, time, and also quality. All our employees know that a lot of Zambian companies are criticized for poor quality. And for us, we've taken quality very seriously. Many times I come across people that tell me, how come we don't see billboards? How come we don't see your adverts in the newspapers? The strength and what has built us to be where we are is not the billboards. It's the word of mouth of people like you, our clientele. So I've told people, what is the point of me advertising my services if I have more than enough on my plate? Why? It's because we make sure that when we deal with a client, we deal with the client with sincerity. We ensure that we communicate effectively. We ensure that we give them the quality service that they deserve. And it's been one way from one client to another. So we're basically moving from one client to another, and we've ensured that we've taken along in our path of growth with our clients to where we are at the moment. So I urge you that you need to take this advice seriously. You may not need to advertise some of your products that you are dealing in at the moment. And I would not be where I am today and stand before you if it hadn't been for God. God has laid our path to success. God has been there for us. Some of our achievements, when we look back, we are always wondering to say, how did we get here? But I can assure you that God has been there for us. My wife has been very supportive. She's a finance director for the company, and she's been very prudent in managing our resources as well for us to be where we are. I think I'll end here. I pray that God blesses you all, and thanks for inviting me to speak to you. God bless.
How many of you have done speed networking before? Speed dating rather? maybe. So what we're gonna do is we'll give you 5 minutes. In those 5 minutes, I want you to approach somebody you need to come with and introduce yourself, tell them what you do, just get to know each other. 5 minutes, and the time starts now.
Blockhouse. Sensei. Chikadichi.
Pabwino chila kunoniona po. Kuwememonga kunoniona po.
Before you put your far, but mono mwini. Kwikala best life, but mono mwini. Fikinisha front sefi loto kuno queen. Aikona kwana bene kuno queen. Proudly Zambian, nolo ambience. Yadi fala kofe fense fadi sangwa. Kule bombe shafa wete zamba. We stand out, te manga. I'm proudly Zambian.
Proud to be Zambian. Yeah, I'm proud to be Zambian.
Proudly Zambian.
Proud to be Zambian. Yeah, I'm proud to be Zambian.
Proudly Zambian.
Hello, Molishan, you go in the fear, we no want you move. I welcome you to Zambia, full of peace and love. Nashoku, all I see is beautiful people with beautiful hearts, beautiful smiles, my beautiful heroes. Omoshili weka mabalo, if into winga sangamo, I have all I need right here in Zambia.
Energy that comes with the morning, so I don't mind saying good morning even at night, right? Just a quick introduction. Like Helen said, my name is Jane Mazimba. I am a financial literacy educator, and I'm an author of a book. I don't know if we have it now. I'm an author of a book called Catching Fire. And why Catching Fire? Partially because, you know, as a Christian nation, we have to take it by fire by force, right? But also because of this concept of fire, which I personally have embarked on this journey, and I thought to share with everyone. It's not something that I started myself. It started in the West after the depression of 2008. A movement of young people who really wanted to aggressively save and invest and retire early started, and obviously it spread to other countries. And I thought, like, as Africa, you know, with all the things that we have going on, what better movement for us to join in as young people than this movement? So FIRE basically stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. Okay? How many of us have heard of this already? Yeah, awesome. I'm hoping heard of it, right? Yeah, so basically this is a movement of people who believe in very, very quickly building up wealth, right? So that they can retire early, and retire not in the sense that you will just retire and stop working, but more so to retire and pivot, to start doing things that are more impactful in our communities. If you were not working for money anymore, would you still be doing the thing that you're doing now? Right? If the salary, the number of zeros in your bank account, or your overall net worth was not an influence, what would you be doing? So I like that Joe and Peter already touched on the personal success, some of the things that you have to do. I feel like this makes my talk even shorter because I'm not going to dive into that. But for the purposes of this conversation, what exactly is it? I've already talked about early retirement. So for me, I don't think of retirement as an age. Mostly when we think of retirement, we think 55, 60, 65. But really, to me, retirement is an actual amount of money, a net worth number that you can work towards. So you can do a very easy kind of rudimentary calculation to find your FIRE number. It would basically be, depending on how you want to live in retirement, it would basically be either your monthly income or your monthly expenses. You multiply that by 12 to give you your annual income or expenses, and then you further multiply that by 25. So rudimentary, that would give you sort of like a projection of an amount of money that you would need to live for 25 years if you didn't earn any more, if you didn't earn further. But remember, we're saying for the context of Africa, we're not saying stop earning, we're just saying pivot, do something else. that will still earn you an income, but you will still be impacting the communities or maybe even just working in your purpose. Right? So first of all, with FIRE, we want to take care of ourselves, hence we do these rough calculations. Obviously, when you sit down with a financial advisor or a coach, then you would go deeper into then hedging for inflation and looking at your, your growth, your investment growth, because this is not an amount of money that's not going to be sitting in the bank. This is money that's going to be invested, and it will be in assets that you accumulate. All right? The second thing is we want to build generational wealth. We talk about this right now. There's been this whole conversation about BlackRock and how they own this and that, and they do this and that. But most of our friends in the West are able to do these things because they've built generational wealth. When you look at some of these people, it's not all of them, obviously, but some of them, or most of the big families that we know, it's not first generation. It's their grandparents started a farm, and then they found oil, and then, then they diversified, things like that, and then we built on top of each other. And I feel like that's something serious, something that Africans need to start taking seriously. What are we leaving behind? Not for our children, but so much more for our children's children and the generations that come after that, right? Because our children are living with us now. Whatever you accumulate now, they will get to sort of experience it with you. So we're looking beyond their generation to the next and the next. And then also, FIRE is important for our economies, because when we invest in our economies, whether you're investing in traditional investments, fixed deposits, government bonds, all these things, we are putting money back into circulation in our economy. But even if you decided to invest through like starting a business or doing something, you are working within that economy and building that ecosystem. So this is important for us. And obviously I spoke about impacting our communities. Again, the question, if money was not a factor to you anymore, what would you be doing right now? What would you be doing with your time, right? Would you be still working, Joe, in that bank? There's this joke about bankers, that bankers go to work, look down at their laptop, look up, and it's 25 years later. So I can understand your 15 years, right? But then again, like, is that something you would still be doing? Maybe you do enjoy talking to customers and serving them in that way, that's great. But I know a lot of other people who say, I'm frustrated with my job, I don't want to be here anymore. So what would you be doing? So how do you go about this FIRE thing, right? So what is the how? The first is to create a vision for yourself. Where do you want to go? And being very, very specific about the life that you want, in terms of even just trying to visualize, where do you live? What street are you on? What car do you drive? Are you living in a farm or are you in the city? Like, what does your retirement look like, right? And then once you create the goal, the vision, and you have your FIRE number, then you can bring it backwards now to set small goals, things that you can work towards on a monthly basis, annual basis, to work towards that. And then earning more. I love that Peter came here and talked about building a business. And for me, I see a business like a spectra that is something that can tap into the generational wealth. The sons are here to support, and hopefully they can take that company and make it even bigger and bigger and bigger. And hopefully this is a company that we can talk about 100 years from now. But earning more, because your wealth is an important your income is an important wealth building tool. So I do believe that we need to budget and we need to, cut down our expenses and things like that. That's great. But really, we live where we live, and we are in the economy that we're in. So one of the things that I believe we can do is try and explore ways that we can earn more, so that we can save more, we can invest more, and we can live the life that we want. And then after you earn, obviously there's the savings. Bankers don't kill me, but money doesn't grow in the bank, right? If you save, most savings will give you 2%, 4% maybe, whilst inflation is pegging at 10, 9% and things like that. So you want to save a baseline amount to be comfortable enough to cushion you, because investments do tend to be risky. So after you've saved your baseline amount, you have thought about what it is that makes you feel comfortable, how many zeros in the bank make you feel comfortable. Then you start redirecting those, the extra income that you have into now investing. So are you pumping into an existing business, or are you going the traditional way of doing the bonds and the stocks and the unit trusts and things like that? There's so many investment vehicles, and I do feel like we do not utilize our bankers enough. We talk to them about, tell me my balance, what loan can I get? But there's so much more happening in the background in terms of like investment, in terms of where else can I put my money? I've got these many zeros, I'm getting a bonus or something like that. What can I do? These guys are a wealth of information to redirect us and tell us maybe you can put your money here. And then once you invest, obviously you want to look at investments that are hedging against inflation, right? Because that chips away at your wealth. I'm sure we've heard of the time value of money. A 1,000 kwacha today will not be the same as a 1,000 kwacha in 2034, for instance. What you can buy, even just looking backwards, what I was able to do in ShopRite with a 2,000 kwacha is very different with what I can do with the 2,000 kwacha today. So you want to make sure that even as you put your money in these places that we're talking about, you're able to counter that inflationary action that's happening, so you're not losing money. And then also giving. I think it's important. There's this concept that we hear about so often, I hear it almost every week, black tax, black tax, black tax. And basically this refers to the responsibility that most of us Africans have to our families. Once you have sort of made it, or you're doing well, you're expected to help take care of your cousins, your aunties, and your parents and things like that. But again, most of us do tend to be products of black tax. You pass to go to university, an auntie or an uncle threw a couple of $100 for you to help you either with the fees or pocket money or something like that. So I do believe that there's a responsibility that we have, especially living where we live, to impact our communities. So how do you give back? It doesn't need to be money. You can give back in time. You can give back in knowledge. You can give back in just, working, even just labor in some of these places. So giving is important. So when do you go onto this fire journey? Start now. Start where you are. I think a lot of us think we don't have enough, so we keep saying, oh, when I have this amount of money, or when this comes through, then I'll start. But there's power in compounding. There's power in putting regular amounts somewhere so that those amounts keep working and time becomes one of your best friends, because you're able to grow your money so much quicker over a longer period of time, right? And the last thing I wanted to talk about with this FIRE journey is collective investment schemes. I think that, again, as Zambians, I don't know if this is inherent in us, but we haven't really learned how to play together very well. We tend to be quite suspicious of each other. Oh, I've got this business idea, but I don't want to tell anyone because they might steal it. Or, oh, I want to invest here, but I'll just hold on to what I have until I have enough. Sometimes it takes too long. So what are we talking about when we talk about collective investment schemes? Pulling our resources together so that we can do big things, right? So instead of you going it alone and funding everything by yourself, are there people that you can look at in your community, in your country, to partner with, to invest with, pull your funds together? Obviously, there are the formalized ones, unit trusts, mutual funds, things like that. You can go to a fund manager and invest here. But even in an informal way, I think most of us have heard of village banking groups. Have we? Anyone? Okay, so quite a number of people I know are in some sort of a village bank. But also we hear the stories coming out. Oh, we're in a village bank, so-and-so took a 70K and they ran away. Or they haven't paid and things like that. So what else are we doing when we pull our funds together? Maybe not so much giving somebody the money, but can we do bigger projects? Instead of me just building a flat somewhere, can we pull money together and actually do a building in the city, in the central business district? and then now start getting dividends from those returns. So just a few ideas that I thought that we could put out there, especially in a network like this with so many professionals and like diversity in one place. It would be really nice for us to tap into each other, really network and see what we can do together going forward. Thank you.
Stage and lights. Scary. Thank you very much for having me. Big thank you to Zambia Network. I think this is a really good platform for people to meet and network. And it's proving itself effective tonight. My name is Benjamin Bush. I'm president of Mixed Martial Arts Zambia, the head coach at the Lemu Fight Academy. I've got a six-pack somewhere in here somewhere. I'm also a director of Showtime Entertainment. But I wanted to give a little bit of background as to how I got from A to B and what is actually happening right now in terms of sports development and sport for positive social change. So I grew up here. I was born here. I had a great childhood. I loved Zambia so much with a passion. I was always into Kung Fu films. I used to walk to Cairo Road, rent a VHS tape, and 9 times out of 10 it wouldn't actually have on it what it had written on it, but you know, we'd watch those Kung Fu films. And I ended up going to the UK for boarding school, and it was a massive culture shock. You know, here I had all my friends. It was warm. UK was cold, grimy. And I was very homesick. I always had a passion. I always wanted to come back to Zambia. Anyway, things being what they were, I went on and got involved in film. So I actually got a master's degree in film and visual effects and technology. Went to London to try and get a job. And coming from just going through multiple degrees and then getting my master's and then hitting the big city, trying to get my foot in the door in an industry that wasn't really fully established was very tricky, because the industry, the film industry, the people who were working in visual effects had been in the industry for a very long time. They weren't going to let some little upstart come in at the top end. So whilst I was in London working my way up in the film industry, I started to train in mixed martial arts. Now, those of you who don't know much about mixed martial arts is a sport. So it's a sport that combines what works in martial arts. And there's a set of rules that have been developed over time. Initially, there weren't any rules. So when I got involved in mixed martial arts, it was the kind of middle ground. There were rules, but there was also not a lot of structure in terms of regulation, especially in the UK. I'll give you an example. We turn up at an event, my friend is fighting, his opponent pulls out, the promoter comes onto the stairs and asks everybody who's passing, do you want to fight? You can fight this guy. And the guy that was going to fight had 6 fights. He was a professional fighter. The people on the stairs were just drinking beers. So, you see what I'm saying? It was a little bit unregulated back then. But what I did get first-hand experience of was the transformative nature of sport. Okay, the gym that I was involved in was, for want of a better term, a ghetto gym. Right? It was mixed martial arts. It was the early days. And a lot of the people who used to come into that gym, were on the borderline of criminality. And once they started to train, and once they started to take the sport seriously, their lives changed. They had goals. They understood what hard work was. They had determination. They put in the effort and the work, and they had a sense of family, which they clearly didn't have outside of the gym. So, cut a long story short, I was involved in MMA for a while, and cornered quite a few fighters. But through the film business, I met a young Brazilian fighter and set about starting to get a documentary made about him. Now, this young fighter was a guy called Jose Aldo, who went on to be a UFC champion, but at this time no one knew who he was. I went out to Brazil to shoot a pilot for this documentary, and he was using mixed martial arts and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to keep kids out of the drug gangs. Now, this was a young man who was growing up in the favelas of Rio, and I don't know if many of you are too familiar with the favelas, but the favelas is a really interesting place. They're a very beautiful place, extremely beautiful place. But they are the juxtaposition of where wealth and poverty collide. Okay, so they're the poor communities right in the hills of some of the richest parts of these big cities, and that clash between those two elements leads to what was really a narco state. So you had these drug gangs battling for control of these favelas. The drug trade was in full swing, and quite literally, when I went to meet him and I went to the favela, we would walk past military police, all with their machine guns, etc., bullet holes all over the place, and you'd turn down an alleyway, and the police would not enter there. And as soon as you walk down there, there would be young kids as young as 8 with fully automatic weapons, tables full of drugs. Yeah, I've never seen anything quite like it. And this young fighter was using sport to keep those kids out of the drug gangs, to give them discipline, to give them self-respect and belief in who they could be. And that left an incredible impact on me. Now, I never got this film made, and I will get this film made, because I'm sure some of you come on board on that. But my point is that right there, I knew that if something as powerful as that could have such an impact in the favelas of Rio, then it would definitely be something positive to roll out in other developing economies. I had the opportunity to come back to Zambia. Actually, someone contacted me and they were like, "You're into mixed martial arts?" I was like, "Yes, I'm into mixed martial arts, a little bit." And they asked me to come back and start mixed martial arts here. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. As soon as I got to Zambia, that project fell through. So what I did is I just started teaching. I set up effectively something that turned into a social project. So for those of you who don't know, the Lemon Fight Academy is effectively a passion project. It's a place. I have a fight team. I have athletes who are competing at a high level, and we use the sport to change people's lives for the better. So we work in the compounds. We like I said, we got a fight team. Now let me just get track of what I'm meant to be talking about, because I completely forgot what I'm talking about. Right, exactly. I set up a Lemon Fight Academy. It's a social program, right? And some of these athletes who were training with me, they were very good. Like, within a year, I had athletes who were high-level athletes. So I started to reach out. I contacted the EFC, I contacted the UFC, I contacted Bellator, I contacted people in the UK that I knew. I was like, I've got some fighters, man. These fighters are really good. They need an opportunity. They need an opportunity to shine. And absolutely no one would give them an opportunity. They're like, you're in Zambia. We don't know if they're any good. We just got you saying they're good. Have they fought amateur? No. Have they fought pro? No. So, at that point, it frustrated me enough to go, okay, well, if no one's going to help me, then I'm going to set up the infrastructure in the country where they can compete and where they can have international exposure and where they can go on to be UFC stars. So, we set up the association, MMA Zambia. We registered with the National Sports Council under the Ministry of Youth and Sport. We then set about getting an international affiliation. So we actually won an award in our first year through the International Mixed Martial Arts Federation, which is a world governing body, very stringent world governing body, who accepted us under them. And they did that because we put in place good governance. Now, a lot of people here, like, you've got companies, etc. I mean, good governance is something, you can learn from. When you look at constitutions for, I don't know, the Olympic framework, or even, as I'm saying, International Mixed Martial Arts Federation, there's a lot that can be taken from there and transferred into businesses and your articles of association. And these things can drive your philosophy as a company. So you should, it's definitely worth looking into. And we were able to use the expertise from IMAF to put together our own framework, which included, transparency and good governance, etc. So, but still, the fighters had nowhere to compete. So what did we do? We set up the Zambian National Amateur League. And this event was huge. It's not playing on the back here, but that's fine. I did send the video. Okay, Zambian National Amateur League was a big event. It's not actually now progressed. It's no longer the Zambian National Amateur League. It's now called Fist of Valor. It's an event that takes place at the Music Club. It's broadcast to 5 countries. We give it 1 million uniques across social media in the 1 month around the event. The next event is actually in November. So we provided the outlet for the athletes to compete, and through what we were doing on a domestic level, growing the sport, we now have 10 clubs. From those 10 clubs, 8 of those clubs are actually through my social project. So through the seeds that were planted with the social project, there's now 8 clubs. Well, there's 10 clubs, but 8 of them came from the athletes who came up through the ranks through Olympic Fight Academy, which is a big deal. But with the domestic kind of outlet in terms of competition, we needed to take it to the next stage. So the National Amateur League leads to national selection, which leads to international representation. For example, next month we have 20 athletes going to Angola to compete at the Africa Championships. The Africa Championships is the biggest continental event in mixed martial arts at amateur level. It also leads to these athletes going to the World Championships. And what does that do for these athletes? Okay, these athletes who walk into a gym at OYDC, who train and probably have to walk 2 hours a day to get to the gym. They train hard, and then they get to see another country. They get to see professional, mechanisms. They undergo medicals pre and post fight. They do their weigh-ins. They have to be on time. They learn so much. They also get the opportunity to graduate and get coaching certificates. They basically embark along a career progression pathway. And this is what I should have been talking about 10 minutes ago. So I'll be real quick. I know everybody's okay. So the career progression pathways are really exciting. What it means is that an athlete can compete, can level up, and then he can get his coaching certificate. And then what I'm trying to look to do is to try and empower those athletes who get the coaching certificate, to give them financial literacy training, to give them media training, to give them a business plan, and to give them access to ethical microloans so that they can set up community gyms, provided those community gyms roll out vulnerable youth programs and help the community. Okay, so the vulnerable youth programs are important as well. And this is how I adapted a framework, an international framework from the International Mixed Martial Arts Federation, and adapted it for a developing economy in such a way that it actually benefits Zambia. It benefits the people, right? It enables us to create role models who inspire others to come to the gym to learn. They don't have to compete. They can come, they do the vulnerable youth program, and they're going to learn about mental health, self-belief, fake news, all of these things taught through the metaphor of sport. Actually, there's 15 key lessons, but those are some of the examples. So now where am I going with this? Oh yeah, yeah. So with all of these things in place, it started with the Lemon Fight Academy. It started with a social project, which is a passion project, which is still ongoing. But really, what I'm trying to develop is social enterprises, lots of little social enterprises, opportunities for athletes who are competing to be able to run gyms, generate an income, empower their community, and inspire their community to go on and do the same, and kind of have a domino effect. At the same time, I've developed a proposal for my Lemon Fight Academy to become the pilot project for a larger performance institute. The Performance Institute, again, is very similar to the social enterprise, but the difference is it actually facilitates high net individuals, wealthy individuals, to come and enjoy the sport and learn from the sports science, born over 30 years of the sport, and benefit from that and get fit and also give back, because their money that gets put into the academy is not just for profit. It goes towards social enterprise. It goes into helping the community and facilitating a fight team. Still not playing my video, but okay. Which leads to the competitions. And again, so what I've kind of talked about is the association and its governance, the Lemon Fight Academy and its evolution, and through Showtime Entertainment, the kind of sport aspect. And it should be noted as well that Fist of Valor is no joke. It is the best. It is, well, I'd probably be overstepping the mark to say it's the best on the continent. It's probably one of the best mixed martial arts products on the continent. It has the opportunity to place Zambia on the world map in terms of mixed martial arts, which is the intention. So I'm going to wrap it up there. Kind of didn't know where I was going with this whole speech, and I hope I kind of touched on a few things. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much. So we've heard a lot of people speak, they've inspired us, they've given us tips for how to go about different things according to their strengths and their professions. For now, before we do speed networking again, and before we hear more people speak, we can have some refreshments, the food is ready, you can just...
We're going to oxygenate our brains, because I'm sure I've had a long day. I'm sure you guys have had a long day. Let's get some oxygen and get these brains fired up of ours. And we're going to do that with a simple breathing exercise. It's called 20 connected breaths, and I want you all to do it. I can see you from here, okay? So it's 4 short breaths followed by 1 long breath, and we're going to repeat that 4 times. I'm going to demonstrate. We're breathing through our nose. It goes like this. Yeah? It's easy. Okay, we're going to do it together. If you feel embarrassed, just close your eyes. Imagine that you're in the room, okay? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Are we feeling good? Do you feel some tingling? Right, okay. I am so excited to be here this evening. I've already met so many interesting people, had some great conversations, and there's still some faces that I don't recognize, and I hope to meet you later on at the event. But if you had asked me 2 years ago to come to something like this, I would probably very politely have declined. Why? Because secretly I hated these kind of things, these networking things, because I wasn't good at it. I wasn't good at this whole social thing, small talk with people. At least I thought I wasn't. And I thought this for quite a long time, and because of that, I made up excuses. Excuses why networking wasn't that important for me. Why it wasn't for me, you know? And I kind of thought, well, you know, all you guys, what you're doing really is you're just schmoozing, right? And I don't want to be a part of that. So whenever there was a big social business networking thing, I would send my general manager, Bernhilda, she's actually here today. Bernhilda, wave. So I would go like, Bernhilda, you're up. And I would take a step back. And it wasn't until I had to really take my business to the next level. It was a must for me. I had to take Umoyo to the next level, where I had to sit myself down and say, you know, Kim, you gotta frickin' step up. You gotta stretch yourself. You gotta get out of this comfort zone that you're in. And for me personally, what that meant was I needed to start saying yes. Yes to opportunities. Yes to things, including events like this. And you know what is extraordinary about what happened? It turns out I'm actually really good at this social networking stuff. And what's more, I enjoy it. And it blows my mind when I leave an event like this, how inspired I feel, how I suddenly see more possibilities. I'm influenced by different perspectives from different peoples. It's absolutely incredible. I learn things that I wouldn't otherwise have been exposed to. And all these years, I was limiting myself because of a belief that I was more of an introvert, a belief that I wasn't good with people, I couldn't form deep connections with people, a belief that I reinforced again and again, year after year. I reinforced it so it became part of me, became part of my core. It was how I defined myself. It became my identity. This is Kim. So deep. And you know what's scary about it? I didn't even realize it. I had no idea. I just thought, well, this is who I am. I can't change it. It was a complete blind spot. And these beliefs, don't think for a second it's just me who has them. All of us have limiting beliefs that are holding us back. These are beliefs that have been conditioned into us through our childhood, our school, our family, our parents, our friends, society. And it wasn't from a bad place. A lot of these things, it was from a place of love, people looking out for us. And maybe they served us in the past, but maybe we need to upgrade to take ourselves to the next level and really take a look at these beliefs. So for me, this was a real, revelation. I've had this limiting belief about myself for so long, I didn't even know it was there. So I had to ask myself, well, what other beliefs do I have that have been limiting myself all this time? So I started to scratch the surface. And let me tell you, there was a Pandora's box there that flew open, you know. So many things that had been limiting me and what I was capable of. So then, you know, I did a lot of work on this, and it's a lifetime of work. It will never finish. There will be more and more and more. But now I am so much more vigilant with myself. And what I've become much better at identifying some of these limiting beliefs when they come up, especially when it's other people. Like if I'm having conversations with people or people in my team at Umoyo, I pick up limiting beliefs all the time. It's so much easier when it's out there, right? And other people, it's much easier to see. But when it's you, it's a little bit more close to home. It's tough. challenge your limiting beliefs because they are part of who you are. So when you challenge those beliefs, it's almost like saying, you're not who you think you are. And once we have an identity, it's human psychology behavior that we do things and say things to align with that identity. It's how we create certainty. But I started, like I said, to become much more vigilant. I trained myself so that when certain things came up, for instance, if I heard myself in my brain saying something along the lines of, I can't do that, or that's not possible in Zambia, we don't have the technology or the know-how, or things along those lines, alarm bells would go off. And I'm like, Kim, hold up here, let's just take a breath and take a step back and just have a look at this. Is this reality? Or is this some kind of belief that you've picked up along the way that is now limiting you? And I would have to then really ask myself some questions like, is it possible, Kim, is it possible that you have misinterpreted this situation? Kim, is it possible that you have some misperceptions about what's going on here? Kim, is it possible that you do not have all the information relating to this situation? Is it possible? And if I could get myself to say, yeah, it's possible, then what happened was that I could open that door, however small, I just opened that door of doubt. And that is the first step when it comes to overcoming limiting beliefs. It is the psychology of the owner that is the limiting factor in any business. My psychology is limiting my business. So I ask all you beautiful people here tonight, what is holding you back? What is holding you back personally, in your business, in your career, in life? What beliefs do you have about yourself, about your team, about doing business in Zambia? What beliefs are limiting you and holding you back? Because if you want to take your career, your business, your life to the next level, you have to take a good, hard look at yourself. You are the chokehold. And it's 80% psychology, 20% skills. It starts with you. It starts with me. It is my responsibility to look at what's going on up here. It's my responsibility to grow for my own personal transformation. And when I do that, that lid that is holding me back, that I can't get past, that is holding my business back, that lid on my business, that flies open. And I am then able to unleash my potential and take my business to wherever it needs to go. It's up to me. I have a choice to either focus on those beliefs that are limiting me, or I can uncover and nurture those beliefs that empower me. I have that choice. It's up to me. It's up to you. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
So much, Kim. A round of applause again. I believe we're still energetic and we're still enjoying the event, right? We still have more in store for you. And how many want to do speed networking again? Maybe we can do it later. So, but for now, we have a special guest in here, and he's about to leave. But we thought before he leaves, he can come and say one or two words with us. Let's invite Mr. Nkue.
Kim, thank you for that presentation. The last time, we met, it was at the National Hero Stadium, where we had over, 30,000 people at the stadium talking about entrepreneurship. Did you hear of the Africa Must Think? Did anyone hear of the Africa Must Think here? Oh yes, so that's the last time, we got to meet, and glad to see you here. And I've met very interesting people, council there, and a couple of others, exceptional people. I shouldn't get one thing, but congratulations to you guys that have put this together. Networking is extremely important. If you are to succeed as an entrepreneur, you need to harness such gatherings. You need to be in such gatherings, because such gatherings make you identify certain opportunities. I think maybe let me say this so that you get to have a rough idea of how networking, helped build me in a way. So, born at the village, very poor background. In fact, we are so poor such that the poor called us poor. That's where I come from. Then got to Matero Boys, started my journey selling pamphlets, and I found a customer today, Nelson. So I just told, we are meeting for the first time from 2003, 2004. And he's saying, I was one of those guys that got your pamphlet at Matero Boys. And thank you. Then from then on, opened a kiosk at the village, began trading in goats. When I was 17, I was importing things from Botswana and South Africa. 20 years old, founded Glad Tidings Software Limited, which gave me a breakthrough. 22, 23, I then had trucks. 24, founded DLN Technologies. I don't know if you've noticed now that when you lose your ATM card or you want an ATM card, you'd get it instantly from the banks. Unlike what used to happen then when you wait for weeks to get a card. So, at Standard Chartered Bank, what? You still wait? All right, but maybe that's a special case. That's a special case. So now, here's something that happened. So as I was rising, I felt I had made it. And everyone seemed to have been celebrating, Dumisani, the radical entrepreneur. Until I was invited for a meeting in London. And this meeting was at Park Plaza. So, Park Plaza is at the most expensive district in London. So, well, if you don't know, the place, just imagine that there's some place, which is, yeah. So at that place, powerful meeting, and we are the 7 of us from Africa. We attended the first session, then the problem came out during tea break, where we came out and we had these cocktail tables. So we are having our drinks, and waitresses are moving, and I was feeling it. I was like, yeah, I have made it. I don't know if you've ever felt like you are there, like others are breathing oxygen and you are breathing nitrogen. I don't know if you've been there. So I felt it until a conversation broke out from my table. Then this guy complains and says, you see, our turnover has dropped from 400 to $380 million. Now, you gotta act like you're not surprised with the figures, but inside you're like, how? Then another one on the same table says, you see, but us you have maintained at $600 million. I was like, these guys are enemies of progress. I can't stand on this table at the village I'm representing Zambia here. I won't be intimidated. Since it was just tables, I decided to move to another table where there was a fellow African from Ghana. Now, unfortunately, as I arrived, for whatever reasons, this guy just shows me a message that he had received from his PA in Ghana. $80 million for the pilot project. Just the pilot, before the phase 1 and phase 2, just the pilot, $80 million had hit the account. At that point, when I heard that, I said, here, I am finished. Here, and I decided that here, I won't talk figures. When my time came to speak, I just said, here, I can't talk figures, I'll just speak percentages. You see, we increased our turnover by 20%, and they're clapping, they don't know 20% of what. But when I got back to my room, when I removed my jacket, to be balanced this way. When I came back from London, I've never worked as hard as I worked after that time. Do you know what happened? It was because I networked with others who were way better than myself. So networking events are events that will position you, challenge you, and make you think twice. With that said, I would wish to encourage the organizers that these are gatherings that should, these are gatherings that we should harness as a people. As entrepreneurs, these are gatherings. And to everyone, have a pleasant evening. May God bless you all.
But also, we're very thankful that you showed up tonight and you trusted us to host you tonight. Our next speaker is Nawonga Mlenga, who is a marketer, entrepreneur, and media personality. Welcome her.
Good evening, everyone. I wish I wore a pantsuit so I didn't have to do all of that just now. Okay, I'm a little bit nervous. I don't usually do this. I think the few people who've interacted with me know how underprepared I feel right now. I feel like I'm in a room full of professionals and I am a first-year student lost in the wilderness. But let's just give it a chance. I mean, how bad can it really go? Okay, so I'll start again. So my name is Nawonga Francesca Mlenga. I'm 26 years old. I'm an entrepreneur, a marketer, as well as a media personality. I'm going to break each part for you. I think that's the best way I can do it. So, I am a marketer. My marketing journey has been very weird. When I first started out on my varsity life, I was actually doing biomedicine, which is in the science faculty, for those that aren't sure. So obviously that's a big U-turn when you think of marketing and advertising, but then you think of science, lab work, chemistry, physics, it's just all over the place. I love marketing. It's my passion. I'm so passionate about it. I can sell my business 3,000 times to you. I can sell your business better than you can probably sell it to yourself. That's how confident I am in my skills. But the journey has been so difficult. I mean, when I first came back from university, I came with the highest spirits. I thought I was going to change the world. I was going to be the face of marketing in Zambia. I came in as confident as I was, and I flatlined. I mean, when I tell you I failed miserably. I think I went into a shell for 6 months because I couldn't believe it. And the reality was, I just didn't understand it. One of the speakers spoke about markets, how different markets are different everywhere. In the UK, the marketing strategies differ. In Zambia, the marketing strategies differ. In South Africa, the marketing strategies differ. I came with the perfect strategy to penetrate a South African market, implemented it in the Zambian market, and I was looked at like a lost girl, a lost sheep in the world. Nobody understood what I was saying. Facebook didn't matter. Instagram didn't matter. My business didn't matter. I was so scared, and I've always been very critical of myself. My fear of failure has been one of my biggest downfalls. And I still think I have it, but to an extent, I've overcome it a little bit, so I'm not as bad as I used to be. Fast forward about 5 years now, from 2019. I have a marketing agency. We're doing well, for sure. We're not hitting the numbers, like Dumisani said. Those are big figures. I worked in an NGO, and they were throwing around these millions and billions, and I'm sitting there like, wow, I don't know this money, but okay, I'll do it. Let's go for it. And I was so excited. But that was such a challenge in its own because I had never done it before. I entered a room, they looked at me, and the first thing you see is a woman, she's good looking, probably a bobblehead, has nothing to offer. And then you speak and they're like, oh, you're all right, not too bad. And then you speak some more and they're still not impressed. And I said, you know what, whatever, it's all right. I know what I'm capable of and I'm just gonna do it. So I've been doing it. Year 1, year 2, year 3, I failed again. I bombed on an order. My client probably still hates me, but I will forever try and make amends. But it's been so challenging, and from everything that everyone's spoken, I think one thing we can agree on is the challenges we faced growing in our businesses. Be it a multi-million-dollar company, be it a kiosk. Each one of us has challenges. But you need to take a chance on yourself, like I did. Just give yourself a break and say it's all right to fail. Because loss is normal. Winning is normal. But losing is also normal. But loss is not death. You lose and you try again. And the worst thing that can happen is you just try again. That's it. You know, I've been wondering, and I wrote a speech, and I spoke to Caroline, and I said, Caroline, what am I supposed to say? I've only got 5 years in this profession, including the 5 years it took for me to study. This is all I have. And every person I've interacted with is telling me, I've got 15 years under my belt. I've got 10 years. I've been a banker for 15 years, and I'm like, wow. I've only been doing this for, a few years, but I'm still good at it. And I stand in what I say. I'm really good at what I do. And I really wish that each and every person believed in themselves to say, you know what, I'm a nurse, but I'm good at being a nurse. I'm a teacher, but I'm great at being a teacher. You're a public speaker, be great at being a public speaker. And you're allowed to make mistakes. You're a human being, and it's okay. Life gets hard. It's a big, weird show sometimes. But you just have to keep pushing through and persevering. One of the speakers spoke about advertising. I just came to also clarify on that one. Like I did say, I really do believe I'm good at what I do. Advertising is essential in every single business. I understand that business rapport and word of mouth goes so much further. But that in itself is advertising. You cannot take away from the fact that because it's not on a billboard, it doesn't consider as advertising. Me being here speaking to all of you is advertising. I'm advertising myself. By proxy, advertising my business. At the end of the day, it still all falls into the world of marketing. Marketing is in everything we do. Everything you see, everything you say, that's marketing. I know it's difficult to see, but I'm a marketing enthusiast and I see it in everything I do. Even if it's the phone I see, if it's the clothes I wear, if it's the products I use, if it's the places I go to, it's because of marketing. The only reason we know about things is because of marketing. So we cannot ever discard or discredit this profession because it in itself and its entirety is extremely essential for every business and every influencer. It's so, so important and vital. And what I love and what I've been seeing in the Zambian space, I'm an associate member of the Zambia Institute of Marketing. And I've been following them for the past 2 years, and they've made wonderful strides in reshaping how we as marketers carry ourselves, the policies we have, how we can conduct our work. Because at the end of the day, it is a profession. And we were working with no direction. But now we have some structure. We've got people who actually believe that our profession is necessary. And I'm just one of those people who constantly champion it and push for it. Before I came here, I said I was going to keep it short and sweet. I don't really have much to say, but all I can say is take a chance on yourself because you deserve it. Believe in what you're doing because it's what you believe in. And don't take no for an answer. Because yes is better, isn't it? Yes. 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 Thank you so much for having me again. I wanted to even ask Caroline again what exactly she saw in me for her to ask me to speak here. Because I myself, I'm overwhelmed and overjoyed to just be able to be part of a team, of a panel, of a group of people who are able to come together and network for the better of all of us. I love this. This is great for us. Aside from that, I have a TV show called Simply Amazing where we celebrate women all the time. Another speaker is going to come here who I have interviewed and the episode will be airing. I just want each and every one of you to know that women matter. Men matter too, but women do matter. You know, I'm championing us as well. We do matter. And if there's anything to take away from my little session right now is take a chance on yourself and thank the people that take a chance on you. Because it's not always easy to trust and believe that someone will carry your business or brand the way you have it. I love my brand. I'm a representation of my business. And I want to believe each and every person who has a brand so dear to them is a representation of it. I think Kim is one of them. I want to be part of your circle because you should rub some of that enthusiasm on me. It's wonderful. But the energy and power you have when you speak about what you care about, it shows. It shows that it matters. And at the end of the day, brand authenticity is all that matters. People want to know that you care for them. People want to know that the services you provide for them matter. Everyone wants to feel like the most special person in the room. So why not? Make them feel special. Buy into it. Thank you.
Okay, so it seems all the ladies are getting up like this. I don't know if it's the women empowerment thing, but I managed to get up as well. Okay, thank you very much. My name is Amoka Sibuku. I'm a media and communications consultant. I've worked in the media industry for 15 years. I started out at movie television as a journalist. I worked at ZAMBIA and Loyola Television. I'm more into communications now, not much of media, but more into communications. I think when I was approached to speak at this event, I thought of something that a lot of us, especially business people, overlook, and that's communication. 75% of what we do in our businesses is communication, because obviously we have to communicate to our clients. And communication, we overlook it, you know, we think it's just talking to people, but there's a lot of detail that we overlook, guys. It's not just about talking, it's about the words that you use, it's about the tonation, it's about your body language. And if anything, your body language accounts for over 55% of your communication. So standing here, I'm sure we've seen all the speakers that are coming up to speak. It looks easy. It's not easy, guys. It's not. Actually, 97% of people fear public speaking more than death. Like, yeah, people are more, they would rather die than stand up here and speak. So communication is something that you need to practice. It's an art, you know? So it's not something that comes naturally. Like Kim said, she was an introvert, right? I can relate, Kim. I also consider myself an introvert, though some of my friends say I'm not, but I am very much an introvert. So what you see here is mastering the art of communication. Practicing. Yes, you can be shy, but shyness should not be the end of you. How are you going to overcome that shyness? How are you going to be able to properly communicate? Because when you're in the business industry, when you're an entrepreneur, you need to communicate. You need to sell your brand. So you can say, no, I'm the CEO, so I have the PR department and I have the... No. Madam CEO, Mr. CEO, you still have to communicate, okay? So basically, I just wanted to share some tips that I have gathered over the years, because as a journalist, I've worked with a lot of businesses, and right now I'm working in the communications industry, and I'm a consultant for many different organizations. And so we're here to network, yes, but even as we're networking, we have that 5 minutes speed networking. Do you think you're a good communicator? Do you think you communicated well with the person that you were talking to? Anyone? Do you think you are good? Okay, no, I'm making it sound bad. Okay, you're good. Okay, you're good communicators. Okay. All right. So mainly, I just want to point point out some things that we should not overlook when we're communicating with others. In a space like this, it's a business networking event, so we have people who are starting out in business, they've never done business before, and they're approaching people who they feel inspire them and will motivate them to get into business. So how are you responding to these people? Let's say you're the person who has been approached. Words account for like 7% of communication. Like words are nothing. Almost. Words are almost irrelevant. Your tone and your body language is what you speak. So what tone are you using to respond to this person? Are you using a good tone? Are you using a tone like you're disinterested? Or are you... There's a certain tone, and especially, I don't know about men, but for women, we catch tones very fast. The tone, you don't talk to me in that tone. What you're saying can make sense, right? But the tone is wrong. So your tonation should be appropriate. You should be calm. Your voice should be low-pitched, okay? Be calm, sound like you're listening, and I know sometimes you're actually not, but at least just pretend. You know what I mean? Just, nod. You can have 10,000 problems at home or wherever, but just be present, Secondly, your body language. Now, I'll tell you a story. We went for an event. It was more like a networking event. And there was this lady who was, she's a media personality as well. And she runs this Facebook page, and she's all about women empowerment and all that. And I attended the event, and I was very excited to see her. And I was like, okay, it would be nice to chat, I follow her page, I follow her blogs, I love the way she talks. And so we went to sit with her. Helen, I was with Helen, by the way. Helen is my friend. I don't know if you remember. So we went for the event, and we sat. And this woman sees us, and obviously we're nobodies at that point, because obviously she didn't recognize us. She's the big celebrity and whatever. And she turns. So we're sitting this way, and she's sitting here, and she has a friend this side. And immediately we sit, she turns. So she twists her body like 180, and she looks this way. Obviously disinterested, and that's okay. It's okay. Whatever. We'll talk to other people. And then at some point we had to leave our seats. And so I tap her. I tap her because I wanted her to save our seats, because there are a lot of people at the event, right? So we don't want people to sit on our seats. So I wanted her to save our seats, and I tap her and then she looks at me with the coldest stare I've ever seen and felt, not just seen, but and felt. And she looked at me, and I was like, could you kindly watch over our seats? We're just going to pick someone downstairs, and we'll be back. And she doesn't say a word. She just looks at me from head to toe, from toe to head, sizing me up. And then she looks away. And I looked at Helen, and then I looked at you. Did you just see what happened? No words were spoken. All she did was look at me, and I got the message. Body language. She was saying, who do you think you are? You're disturbing me. I'm chatting with my friend. Oh, this is what she said. This was just body language. She didn't say this, but according to me, this is what she said. Who do you think you are? You're disturbing me. I'm having a good time with my friend, and you are asking me to take your receipt. I'm not a bodyguard. Hey, why are you disturbing my good moment? Can you just mind your own business? That's what she said, according to me and her body language. So after that, I looked at Helen and I was like, did you I gave her the look of, did you just see that? And she approved, like, what was that about? Like, you know, it's okay if it was just any other ordinary person, but she wasn't just any other ordinary person. You know, she was a brand on her own. She runs a business. She inspires women. I looked up to her, and she gave me that look, and she sized me up, and she put me in a category that she felt, this I can't deal with. And so, sadly, I stopped following her page. I unfollowed her page, and I don't follow her anymore because I felt so disrespected, you know. But there she was. She went on about her business. She didn't care, right? Because she's this big, whoever in society, and I'm just this little person. But the way she made me feel was, it kept a lasting impact on me. And that's why communication is very important. And I'm saying this because your body language is very important. We are at a networking event today, and we're talking to each other. There are people who may be way, way junior than you, and you have achieved way so much than them. But the way you respond to them can motivate or demotivate them. And I'm saying this because people who are starting out get inspiration from people who have been there for a while. So the burden is up to you guys who are, you know, thriving in the business industry to help pull up the ones that are starting out. And that's why I'm not emphasizing much on those that are starting out. Yes, even you who are starting out, don't be irritating. Come on. The way you communicate, you may be shy, but the most important thing is to ask a lot of questions. If you're shy, trust me, asking a lot of questions, you will spend most of your time listening, so you don't have to talk much, right? So you ask, so how did you start your business? Okay, so how much money do you make per... Okay, I don't know if people disclose that information, but yeah, ask, you know, ask a lot. And when people are asked questions, people love to talk about themselves. They love to feel important. So the more you ask, the more you let the other person speak, the more they like you because you seem to be interested in what they do. And so that's one way to get ahead, especially if you're starting out in the industry. But mainly, I want to talk more about the people who are already established because you are the people who are inspiring the younger generation. You are the people who are inspiring the people that are new in entrepreneurship. And so if you have an attitude like the attitude that I experienced, it's not going to help our industry. It's not going to help the business sector at all because all you're doing is demotivating people. So let's be approachable. You know, let's be engaging. When we see someone with enthusiasm, someone who wants to venture in the same business that we're doing, let's encourage them. Let's take time to be present in the conversation. Let's listen to them. And the best way of showing that you're listening is repeating what a person has said. So if a person is talking, you repeat, you say, oh, okay, so what you mean is that you want to start a business that involves agriculture. You're repeating what they're saying. Already, you have shown that you are interested, you have engaged, and you have listened to what the person is talking about. So also be an active listener. An active listener is a person who will nod, you know, that, okay, oh yeah, okay, exactly, okay, you know, like, be active. Don't just stand there and be a passive listener, like, you're not interested. So I'm here to just tell you that communication involves a lot. It's not just about talking. If anything, talking is the least of your worries. Your worries should be your body language and your tone. And when it's on the phone, it's even 80% of your communication on your phone, your tone is very important. When you call someone and their tone is wrong, you don't even need to think of, that's the first time you're calling them ever, but from their tone you'll be able to say, oh wow, that guy is rude. From the way he spoke to me, and you've never met the person. So you need to mind, when you're speaking on the phone, and you're speaking in person, on the phone you need to be extra careful with your communication. Because a person will rely on how you sound to determine what type of character you have, unfortunately. So we really need to be mindful of how we communicate with each other. We really need to watch our attitude, because communication and attitude can make or break your business. Trust me. It's very important. And let's not leave it to the PR department. And I know a lot of businesses, that's what they do. They leave communication to the PR department. But every single member of your organization is PR. Everyone who walks out of that building, starting from the cleaner, they are PR. They are selling your brand. They are selling your organization. And they all need to speak the same language. And they all need to have these communication skills. Because I'm sure some of us have heard, they boast. Those people who work for that company, they are like this. You know? They'll label you in a certain way, you know? So what do you want your organization how do you want to brand your organization? Every single person in that business should know that this is our brand, this is how we should relate to the public, so that even as they go out there, everyone is selling the brand, everyone is communicating accordingly. And in this day and age with new media, social media, our job is made easier because everybody is on social media. So it's all about getting there and presenting yourself as best you can. Using all the communication tools that you can use to present yourself as best you can. So overall, communication is key. And attitude is key, because attitude will definitely determine your altitude, how far you go in business. I mean, I'm a media personality, and nowadays we have influencers. It's a new thing now. We have a lot of media personalities, radio DJs, TV presenters, actors, who are now selling brands, and corporate entities are engaging them and paying them to sell. So just being a media personality is a business on its own now. You're a brand. So organizations will approach you, and organizations will hire you to, do their gigs and be their brand ambassadors and all that. But attitude is still at play here. Because no organization is going to want to associate themselves to a media personality that has a bad attitude, a media personality that has bad publicity. And I know that people say that whether it's bad publicity or good publicity, it's still publicity. No. Bad publicity is bad publicity. That's just the fact. And whether you say people still hire me even though I have bad publicity, well, so much more people are going to hire you if you didn't have bad publicity. But because you have bad publicity, you have fewer people. So I think it's very important that we watch our attitudes. We've seen so many people on social media in Zambia today who have tainted their image because of the things they post, things they do. And it's just sad. And as a media personality, I think it's very important for you to guard your reputation, because that is your business, that is your brand. So try as much as possible to build your brand, to guard your reputation, and to be the best version of yourself, so that more people can want to associate with you. And it's very, very important, even as brands, even as organizations, as businesses, that we have a positive attitude to everyone, whether it's your competitor, whether it's people who want to start up in business. It's very important that we maintain a positive attitude. I told you about the story that I had, the experience that I had. Maybe I'm not the only one, maybe other people have experienced. I've had similar experiences. It's really not nice because it took away from the integrity of that person. I held that person in really high esteem, but then to see that she doesn't practice what she preaches. She was talking about women empowerment and all these things on her page. And when I meet her physically, she's just disinterested. So let's not be that person. And even as we interact today, let's use one or two of the pointers that I've given you and just, network, interact, and be yourselves, but most importantly, listen and learn. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Helen. Like she stated, my name is Amakesa Kalifungwa. I'm a legal practitioner, I'm a psychologist, an academician, and a businessman. But I'm not here to psychoanalyze anyone or give you a psychotherapy session. Neither am I here to lecture you or give you legal advice. It's not easy to speak after there have been so many great orators, Dubisani, Kim, and so on. But as the last speaker, I think I'll be failing in my duty if I don't just give a brief summary of some of the takeaways I've gotten from this event. So I'll just speak on two issues, then I'll wrap it up, okay? So I got resilience. In whatever it is we do, we must keep pushing, keep moving forward, and ensure that we move in the direction and path that is going to take us towards achieving our goal. Secondly, we need to be brave, okay? If there's someone you need to speak to who is in a high office, be it a CEO, be it a director, be it someone you believe is influential, a minister, be brave, speak to them, and you never know where that a particular conversation is going to take you with regards achieving your goal and moving to attaining possibly a global vision. And finally, I'll conclude by saying, as one of my mentors would say, if you haven't gotten anything from everything that has been said, here's the truth you need to pack up and take home with you. Put your plans and commit your plans to God, because it is God that will establish your plans. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening.
Thank you very much. So we're coming to the end, but we can't just let you go without saying thank you so much for coming. And when I was introducing him, Sean Penza, he's very happy. He's been asking us to send photos the whole evening. But we also have our PR and Caroline Drake. She can say a few words.
Hi, good evening, everybody. So I heard what everybody had to say. It's funny enough, not funny enough, but weird enough. I'm not a public speaker at all. I think I used to be when I was young, but I had a conversation earlier with Joseph. Something happened to me in London that changed, I think, the fabric of who I am. And I was so fearful to speak and express myself afterwards. I'm sure, even when I spoke to some people over the phone, I was like, Peter said to me, calm down. But yeah, so doing this really is, for me, it's not only putting people together in one room and networking, it's been a personal challenge. I went with Helen on radio. I went with, on television. I was shaking like I couldn't, but I think now I'm good. So So I just want to say thank you to everybody that's come here. And this is very, very good. And thank you to Helen, thank you to everybody. Once again, thank you.
Kasi yo te la poma na kateka Papi no vinga pa ke muno mwe Tinga la palila nili regional And my people full of skill, them are regional Love for every individual So we blessed by God, not a ritual
But muno mwini Kwikala best life but muno mwini Fikirisha to sefilo to kuno queen Aikona kwana bene kuno queen Proudly Zambian Nolo ambience Kadi pala konfefiansi kadi sangwa Kule bombe shata weti Zamba We stand out Kimanga I'm proudly Zambian